Good evening. Welcome to the Diablo III podcast. We are online at diablo8gamers.com. I am your host, Flux, and joined on the show tonight by Master X.
Hello.
Who I always want to call Master P, who I think was a rapper in the 80s. Can I call you Master P instead and pretend you're a rapper from the 80s?
Yo, yeah, something like that.
Okay, that was a yes. Would you like to throw down some freestyles for us later?
Some free... not some freestyles, but some free styles.
Okay. And also by Nerdwards.
Hey, what's up?
Who plays softcore and is therefore currently running a greater rift because why stop, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, I want to finish this.
Gee, you might die. That'd be too bad. You know, like a whole 5-second delay there.
Oh, it's not. It's just a 37. It's just stressing me out.
Exactly. And you're on GR60 and playing during the 30-second timeouts when you die because you're just zigging content because softcore, right?
I wish.
And I was asking earlier, what's toughness? And you said, what's toughness? I said, it's the number below DPS. Said, I've never looked at that number before. There's a number that matters besides DPS. Why would you care about anything but that? And then you sent me a screenshot. You're like, I have 27 million toughness. God damn it! And I never ever die. I have an esoteric alteration in both my rings.
Just one of them. If only I could wear two.
And a molten gizzard's wildebeest.
Oh man,
something like that.
I love those gems right now. I'm loving them. They are.
You're softcore. No one has ever leveled this up on softcore, and nothing you say can convince me otherwise. And you send me a screenshot, and I'll be like, I can tell it's shopped because someone.
Yeah, that was your first reaction was Photoshop.
That was my only reaction because it was shopped. Because you're softcore, and therefore you have like 14 efficacious toxin gems. In case you drop one, you have more available. Okay, nobody uses that gem. What am I saying? Okay. So tonight, podcast, we're going to talk about some of the power creep, and that doesn't mean Jay Wilson. And getting off to a head start there.
Head start.
Cheeseburger.
Okay. Curve.
And talking about some of the seasonal bonuses for if there's a reason, incentive to play season, it should be legendary items or experience or none of the above, or just the joy of starting over from nothing. And what else we say? Easter eggs, the secret cow bounty, which I was impressed by, and someone else like I saw that already, dude. It's not cool anymore. And the illusionary fantasy of wanting to play Thorns or reflex damage in Diablo III, and why everyone hates barbarians, at least in parties, and crafting interface, which we're never going to get because Blizzard hates us. And I guess that's about it for the topics. And if some of their stuff you guys want to throw in. And last week's show, I said we only have a few topics, so if you guys want to add some stuff in, and suddenly the show in an hour and a half somehow. So. Hopefully we can wrap it up a little before that this time. This is not the Sanctuary Sweatshop. We will leave you free. Your entire evening will not be consumed by one podcast, right?
Yeah, hopefully.
Well, except for you. I'll keep you on the phone for a while after you start talking more. And people last time on the podcast complained you didn't talk enough, Master P.
Oh, really?
So, unlike on your debut album when you dropped all kind of freestyle raps. So you just said you were out smoking pot 5 minutes ago or something like that. So hopefully that will burst forth a torrent of words. And you can be like, yo, G, what's up? Man, we're going to beat that to death, aren't we? I can tell already.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you name quickly? Can you name us 5 words that rhyme with Wilson?
No.
No one can. Because nothing rhymes with Wilson. Yeah, it's been a while since your rap debut.
Yeah, I've been slacking on my rap skills.
You thought it was
okay,
fun.
Stop talking.
I can't.
Okay, so first topic, power creep. People are just recently. I posted a video this week of guys doing Greater Rift 60 in hardcore. In the softcore, there is many Greater Rift clears of the 65, 68. I think 69 was the highest. 60. Everyone's favorite number, of course.
Yes.
Until you get nose deep in something you don't like very much.
Oh.
So you are currently doing Greater Rift Master Nerds. Nerd word to the shizzle. You need a rap name too. So since you're softcore and you're in Greater Rift now, I'm assuming it's at least 55. So how is Power Creep running? Were you in T6 the first hour or the second hour after you hit 70 this season? How's that going for you in your softcore dilemma?
It was quick. It was a lot quicker this time than it keeps getting quicker and quicker, which is supplemented by gear and supplemented by experience and leveling because. Most people don't level just for fun, and so rolling seasons is kind of experience at that. So I think everyone's getting more efficient at finding their ways to get up to 70 and so on and so forth. So then after that, it's just luck of the drop. I was a little lagging behind some of my friends who got in because I was running with a barb, a monk, and Demon Hunter, and well, go figure, a little bit behind them on the gear curve. They got some good drops early, but I was happy to be carried through a little bit of Rifts, and now I'm running. I ran Delcers for quite a long time because I wanted to so bad, and I pushed it really high, but now I'm running Talrashas because it's just ridiculous.
Because 10 billion meteors in your print?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I saw a thing someone was hosting about saying how Firebirds is now totally obsolete because you can basically do the same sort of massive DOT with Talrashas, and of course you get gigantic damage meteors as well.
Mm-hmm.
Has that been your experience as a Wizard Pro?
I mean, I haven't used, I wouldn't say I'm pro, but I haven't used Firebirds pretty much at all. But I think that's just because we used it so much before. I wouldn't say it's useless, though. It's still really good for T6. I mean, you can still do some good greater rifts with it. And the changes they did to it, making the fire explosion go off, gave it a little more AoE damage. So it a more instant AoE damage, I should say. So it's still fun. And it has actually gotten a little bit better. I think you can push up into the 50s now with Firebirds. But Talrashas is still far above and beyond better. It's just, it feels better, it looks cooler, and it's a lot more fun to play.
So you've given up on the slow time set already?
Kind
You
of.
played it a little bit, and it just doesn't it's not good enough for the high end, or what?
Well, it's good enough for the high end to a point, but like okay, I don't have a Unity drop yet, but I was using a pretty optimized build. I had some pretty good rolls on the Triumvirate, which boosts your Frozen Orb damage, so that really helped. I had really good rolls on my set, and I even used the two-piece towel set to see if that would work in for a while, and it just wasn't pushing enough DPS, so I used my Witching Hour, and so on and so forth. So I've tried a bunch of stuff with it, and I ran it for the first week and a half. I mean, pretty much until 2 days ago, I've been running Delcers. And the highest I could push into Greater Rifts was 43, and it was a struggle to get there. But I was able to hit 43. Now, mind you, again, not super optimized on gear, just as whatever I've gotten. And then I was like, okay, I've hit 43, let's check the leaderboards, because I hit 43 and I still didn't hit the leaderboard, and I was kind of blown away by that. So I pulled up the leaderboards and look, and the lowest wizard at the time was 47. And Delcers, according to what I've read on the forums and like just most people, aside from the one or two that have hit 50 with it, it's about 44 to 45 range. So what that essentially tells me is that if you want to be on the leaderboards in Season 3 with a wizard, you do not really have much of an option outside of Talrashas. Now, the Delcers set is finding a really good home inside supplementing Talrashas set. Running a 4-piece Delcers with Talrashas is actually really, really cool and really fun. The extra procs from your slow time are nice, but it's still a little suboptimal when you're just running pure towels. So I don't know. I'm having fun with it, but I know it's not top end right now.
Is it better for parties? Because I mean, I've heard complaints about. I mean, Firebirds is horrible for parties, right?
Right.
It's all just DOT and racing around.
Yeah.
And I've heard complaints about towels that you just sort of can't see what you're doing because there's just constant giant meteors falling everywhere.
It can feel hectic. Talrashas can, but if you know what you're doing, it's really kind of cool. It's kind of something you equated to before with the Demon Hunter, with the New Marauders changes and like, or no, with Unhallowed Essence, sorry, saying that, it felt like driving an automatic after driving a stick for so long. It kind of feels like I'm driving an automatic, or a stick after driving an automatic for so long. Like, there's so much more to do to keep your damage buffs up, but there's so much more reward for what you do. So if you really get a good rotation to figure out what you're doing, it's a lot of fun. Learning that rotation can be painstaking if you're not careful, but once you get it, it's crazy good. Now, as far as groups go, I haven't done a whole lot of group play because, again, most of my people left me and I had a really busy work week, so I was playing a lot of solo games. But I know that running Delcer set with the group when I was really, really fun and really, really helpful. But I feel like running it with the Tal set would be really, really cool too, because essentially the thing that makes Delcer's 4-piece so good with Tals is that the Tals damage bonus you get from stacking all the different elements actually applies to the slow time damage that Delcer's gives off. So it does like double, triple the damage in the bubble. Instead of doing like 2,000% weapon damage, it's like 4,000%. It's pretty nice. So stuff dies really, really quickly. And then, of course, slow time is never a bad thing at high end when you're trying to dodge missiles.
Unless you just stack 47 missiles up in one place and they all come through at once and the slow time vanishes.
Yeah, well, hopefully I've gotten better at that. It's something you have to adjust to, though.
So have you played any Wizard, Master P? And have you seen any Wizard stuff going along? And can you do this whole thing in rhyme? Or are you still playing Crusaders?
I'm still playing Crusaders. I actually switched to Monk not too long ago because I was getting shit for drops. After 2 weeks of spending every blood shard on a angel hair braid, which I didn't get, I kind of moved away. But last night I got all the drops that I've ever wanted. in one night. I haven't noticed much with the wizards, but the Delcers is very it's not helpful to melee classes because you have all those stacked up missiles and everything, and the melee class runs into the slow time and just immediately is obliterated. Whether it's T6, normal, or whatever, there's just so much stacked up in that area.
Yeah, thanks, Nerdwards.
Yeah,
Yay!
It's all your fault, dude. You killed his Crusader.
Yeah.
murder her.
So you found good stuff with the monk, and are you on T14 yet or what?
I actually got good stuff with the Crusader. I had given up on the Crusader, and I was just using it to farm blood shards to get my monk up to T6. But last night I was playing with my brother. He gave me an Ingeom, which would have been great for my monk. Got me a Corrupted Ashbringer, and I got one Unity and an Angel Hairbraid, like two Greater Rifts down the line. It was just like, okay, now I have everything. Now there's no reason to go back to the monk.
Nope.
But I have been playing mostly Demon Hunters in this season, and I had my first one I was doing with the UE set initially. I got hung up while vaulting through the swamp in Act 5 and had an unfortunate death. And so then I had a whole spare Marauders set and hadn't found very good Nats set. So I made another Demon Hunter and just did Marauders for like 4 or 5 days of a week. And just sort of playing safely. You know, it was kind of boring doing the same Marauders thing over again, but I wasn't having good luck finding. I was kind of waiting until I had a really good version of the UE set or the Natalia set to do another Demon Hunter in that. Like I know how to play Marauders really well from the last 17 seasons, so I was just doing that for a while. And eventually I found really good. I have like ideal items in the new Unhallowed Essences set in every slot but one, so I switched back to that. And I've been playing that some, and I really wanted to get into the Natalias. I posted that news thing last week about how like the highest Greater Rifts are all Natalias now. But you really need specialized gear with that. It's really tricky to do it, and it's just like super taxing. It's not relaxing to play it that way. I mean, the main Natalias that's really cool is you use Strafe nonstop, and you use the fire form of Rain of Vengeance, which it's like a 2-second duration and knocks everything back. And if you have a ton of cooldown cooldown reduction gear, and you use the CDR bonus of the Natalias, you can do that like every 3 seconds. But you just got to nonstop. You're constantly strafing, and you're constantly using your spender. Sorry, you're using your generator as well to get the cooldown off so fast. And it's just like it's like you're playing StarCraft or something. It's like you never stop clicking buttons.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the whole automatic stick shift thing. Like Marauders was kind of a stick shift compared to the UE set, but this is like a stick shift with 2 cars at once.
Yeah.
It's like and like you're racing Vin Diesel. So I mean, there's a lot to do with the Natalias to play it really well. You can easily just do a sort of a T6 kind of fly through stuff.
It sounds
Mm.
stressful.
But the guys that are doing like Greater Rift 45 or 50, it's just crazy how much you're juggling at once, just the controls. So I haven't gotten into that much yet, but I have been doing UE pretty easily, doing the high 30s in hardcore. And I haven't, and like yourself, what's your face, nerd person. I have not. I have found one really nice Unity, and I cannot get another one. I found I think 6 Stone of Jordan so far this season. I keep gambling rings, and I cannot get a second Unity, so that slowed me up a little bit. But I've been using an Esoteric Alteration gem, which is fun because like you feel no danger at all from like Thunderstorm or Jailer or whatever. Like it hardly even hurts you. And then, like, if you get hit by a charging beast, you just get one-shotted, to proc, in my case, in hardcore. But it's like, oh shit, that hurt. The thing I got last night was one that I hadn't even noticed before. I got the Boggett, the trappers and the little Boggett spawner guys that they throw the little baby Boggets at you.
Yeah.
Those are physical. I had never even noticed those things before. And a couple of times in doing the same, like I hit with like 5 little Boggets at once, from like across the entire screen. Proc, run. It's like, okay, this is not good. So one thing that's interesting with Esoteric Alteration, or I suppose the opposite would be true if you had the Molten Wildebeest gem, you suddenly learn everything in the game that is physical or not physical, right? That you never really paid attention to before. So
Yeah.
it's been exciting and learning new things.
It's a hard way to teach you.
Well, it's the only way you'll learn. Experience is the great teacher, right? So,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, re-rolling another
Playing
Demon Hunter is not
seasons
the
as
great
much
teacher.
as we have now.
Yeah. And I'm hoping not to die again, so I'm trying to be a little more careful about that. And I've had really bad luck with jewelry, basically. My rings have been terrible, and my amulets have been terrible. So I've realized that the higher Greater Rift, the higher blood charge is nice from higher Greater Rifts. But no matter how many you have, gambling amulets still feels like setting money on fire.
God, yes. Or weapons.
Yeah,
Weapons
it does.
is bad too.
I mean, weapons are bad at 75, and rings are pretty bad at 50. But I mean, amulets at 100, like you have this, you'll do like 6 or 7 greater rifts, T6s, and then you gamble all that, and you have like 4 rares and two blue amulets, and you're like, oh, that was awesome,
Yeah, let's do
I
that
could have just
again.
gambled 14 legendary belts, and I just got nothing from amulets. And for this, I blame Jay Wilson.
Of course.
So what have you guys been? You said you gambled a million angel hair braids without luck, Master P.
Yeah,
I'm just going to call you that all the time now, by the way. I have much better than Master X.
I'm fine.
Have you had any other gambling adventures? Are you enjoying it more now that you have a higher blood shard cap?
I don't have any gambling adventures, but after 2 weeks of going for belts nonstop, constantly, and getting a million Omni Slashes and Thunder God's Vigors, I actually got my first witching hour ever, and I don't want it. And it just kills me on the inside that I have this decent witching hour, but like I just want this angel hair braid. But with the blood shard cap, I actually haven't gone above 36 solo. I think I got a 36 or 37. And so the higher blood shard cap is nice, but it's not like world shattering like a GR50 would be.
Well, I mean, 860 versus 1,000 isn't that much of a difference. It's better than 500, though, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So you've enjoyed gambling some amulets as well in the past, Nerdwards, and have you had any gambling experiences? Are you enjoying having higher blood shards?
Oh yeah, God, it's awesome. I love it a
So
lot.
you have like 1,100, right? Because you play softcore, so you at least like a GR60.
No,
right?
I'm at like 980, I think, right now. I've done in the 40s. I don't even know what the highest I've done. I know I'm not on the leaderboard yet. That's as much as I know.
That's all that really matters.
I haven't done 47 yet, and that's the lowest on leaderboard last I checked. So, but yeah, no, I used to do. I mean, in past seasons, I've done amulets, and I've gotten like wild hairs up my ass and done it before too. But it's always a waste. I literally got to the point to where I don't, even if I've got like good ancients in most of my slots and stuff, I would rather roll ancient armor pieces than roll weapons or amulets ever, because it just, like you said, it kind of just feels like burning money.
You find a lot of amulets. I mean, legendaries.
Right.
I mean, at least I have. I didn't have to. I never even considered gambling any last season, but I've just had really awful luck this season with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I have like 3 good fire ones and 2 good physicals, and I have no good colds or lightnings. And I want a physical one for I want to switch over to physical on my multi shot with my UE Demon Hunter, and I don't have any good physicals with sockets, and they're just I keep finding. What's driving me crazy is when you get like a quadfecta, but there's no socket, or no elemental, and it's like, it's like this would be so great in Diablo 3 vanilla, but it's completely garbage here, and I'm just screwed with it. But I mean, you have to, rings are useful to gamble because there's a lot of options, and you really just want a crappy unities just so you can, do that exploit,
Yeah,
right?
and see, that's really what I need to be doing is gambling rings, but I just refuse. I want to find one before I start gambling one. I don't want to waste all those blood shards. I have a lot of ancient pieces I can still fill out first, and I still don't have an ancient weapon. So I know getting an ancient weapon would push me really high, especially if it's like a Serpent Sparker or something. Right now I'm using like a Sever or something, and I was using a Gesture of Orpheus for a while, the slow time weapon, but when I stopped using that set, it kind of seemed pointless. Alas.
So we're kind of defeating our whole power creep commentary here. I mean, it was quicker to power up, and a lot of people were immediately. I mean, I noticed in our guild, in the Gamers Hardcore Clan. I mean, I keep wanting to say last semester, last season, like I'm in high school again. Last season, it was like weeks before people were doing GR35s routinely. I mean, there were like a couple of guys who got the GR35 because that was where the conquest was. So you wanted to kind of get to it. And this time, after like 4 days, there were like multiple GR35s, and now there's like multiple GR40s. I mean, in last semester, in the spring semester, there were I got eventually the highest in the clan. I think I did a 44 Greater Rift solo, and there were only like 4 or 5 guys over 40 in the whole clan.
Yeah.
And this time there's like several already. I am not one of them. I haven't gone over like 36 so far until I get that second Unity, I guess. But it seemed like a lot of people, and obviously we're seeing, you look at the leaderboards, and there's just, as you were saying, well, what was the highest? You were talking about the Wizard leaderboards, Nerdwards. I mean, last semester at this pace, you put on probably like GR40 or something to be on the board. Now it's like 47. I mean,
yeah. Well, I finished like lower on leaderboards than I liked. I think it was like 480 something, and I only cleared 44. So I mean, that was.
And you've already done that, and you're not even ranked.
Yeah, I'm not even ranked. Yeah, exactly.
In 2 weeks.
Yep.
And Master P, you said you did a GR67 with your Crusader, so you're number 1 in the world still?
Yeah, I'm the best, and all should bow down to me. I've actually,
Oh, you do sound like a rapper now.
no, I've gotten to 37. I noticed it was a lot faster getting up to 30s for me. Um, I was playing with Nerdwards for a bit, and I got like 3 pieces of Rollins in an hour period, and I immediately jumped from T4 with difficulty to easy T6. And I was doing like 37s with just 6 pieces and everything being very, very unoptimized.
Well, you sound like you're still doing that, so you need to step it up for next week's show, please. Can you get to 50 by next time? I'll officially report on your 1,000th blood shard.
I will get up to 50 next time. You may not see
And you
me
can do a
for a couple
reunion.
of months, but I will get up there.
And you can do a reunion album with Public Enemy, and it'll be awesome, just like the old days.
Yeah, and I'll get NWA back together too.
Exactly, except for the ones that are
All at the
dead.
same time.
Yeah.
So, we're talking about power creep. Speaking of power creeps, how about the Barbarian, huh? The ultimate power creep.
Yeah. Wow.
And there was a news that came up this week, and I posted a little vote about that and stuff. And are Barbarians the most annoying to play with in a game? I had a few of those in the Hardcore clan. And it's really awesome because they can just sort of spin through the whole level, and they leave all the monsters at like 10% hit points, and you can finish them off pretty easily. But it's not especially fun, mixing it up with each other like that. And you're like, bye.
See it.
And one thing Blizzard has said in the past, like they put movement skills for all the classes, which is kind of true if you just want to respec and just put like, I don't know, I guess you could just do Vault all the time with a Demon Hunter just to keep up with super fast, whatever the current skill is. Tempest Rush Monk or a Whirlwind Barbarian, but that's a little less true in Hardcore where there's like death.
Yeah.
You can't like turn all your gear over just to go faster because bad things might happen. But of course, it occurs to me that really nothing that the Barbarians are doing now with Whirlwind is that all that different than what Wizards did with Firebirds last semester.
Yeah.
Nerdwards. I mean, I played with a number of Wizards, and you'd run through the level, and every monster was left behind them with like 15% hit points, just sort of standing there and getting in your way. So is this really any different? I mean, as a veteran of playing a really fast-moving, annoying multiplayer character, can you provide us with some insight into the whole current Barbarian
Yes,
issue?
sure. I have some fascinating introspective in this. No, I don't know how annoying they are compared to that. I know that right now it feels like public games feel annoying in general. Like for me, if I'm playing a public game, unless I'm carrying everybody in the game, everyone just runs off on their own. There's no like cohesion right now because everyone's so powerful. When I was first gearing up, and like I said, I had a couple friends that were running. Our Barb friend got geared up real quick. So I mean, we were literally just walking behind him and picking up loot as he cleared entire rifts for us. Like we could not catch him. And then when we finally got enough, like for a wizard to set up and do damage, we have to set up and do damage. I mean, we can do quick damage. There's ways we can do it, especially once you get up there in the gear levels. But I was running Delsair, so I have to drop slow time and then an orb at least on every pack that we come up to. By the time I cast my slow time, they're already dead. So it's like there was not even a point. I just put on all speed clearing gear and some buff spells and just followed behind him and picked up loot. So I mean, I guess that is annoying if you're playing in groups with barbarians, but you could just not. There's that too.
I don't know if that's an optimal situation, though. I mean, obviously the Barb could slow down a little bit, and just, you could double back once in a while, and I mean, he's got a rune that makes everybody else in the party run really fast, too, instead of just him.
Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like, every class has a way to keep up with the Barb. I never complain when a Barb jumps in a game I've got opened up to the public, because usually it means that we're going to raise our clear times pretty quickly, so I don't know. If I'm running with friends anyways, we usually like coordinate a little better and stay closer together, but there's a definite power creep. I mean, with all classes, but specifically the Barb. It was absurd to me how fast most Barbs got up there, and how much damage they were doing and how quickly they were doing it. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think the damage would be objectionable. It's that they have such ridiculous foot speed as well.
Yeah,
which just makes it really hard to party, because then they're just gone, you know?
But it's still fun to watch. I mean, like, it's still, like...
I mean, it's nice to get the experience shared, and you're picking up all the loot behind
Right.
them, but it's just not a very compelling
It's not
gameplay
the
when you're running along behind, picking off, crippled monsters every now and
Exactly.
then.
It's not the Diablo experience you particularly want, necessarily. So it's... it's just different. But, I mean, that's the thing, though, is that realistically, like, T6 is now ridiculously a joke. Like it was already a joke. Now
It was already a
yeah,
joke.
now it's just absurd. Like it's laughable. And realistically, greater of 40 is the new like standard T6. Like that's what everyone's running. I mean, I know that I'm not even that well geared, and I can run greater of 40 like it's nothing. I mean, I still have kind of a chance of dying, so it feels like you're running old school T6. But it's the power creep is very real. Because I used to, 40s were where my gems sat until I got to, the gear level to be able to complete them. Now I'm running 40s like with suboptimal gear and a Laeric Signet on and a ruby in my hat. Like I'm running them for experience instead of running them for, actual like pushing content. So it's definitely interesting to see. But barbs are they just look like so much fun right now. But I mean, there's the dashing strike monks too. I mean, I think that's the thing too, is that like all classes now have that like rapid go go go. I mean, demon hunters have always had it with vault, so it's just you're seeing all the other classes kind of come up too. But barbs win because their movement speed and their speed of clearing is so fast because they're moving and killing at the same time, whereas almost all other classes have to move, stop, kill, then move again. Like if I mean, strafe with the Demon Hunter, the reason why it's working out so well is because it's just like Whirlwind. So you just click and hold and move while you're doing it. You just don't have the movement speed.
But you do need to get orbs to keep your resources up, though.
Well, so do Barbs, though. Barbs got to do it, too. There's ways that they're stacking to do that. But I know that's a problem with Barbs, especially starting out with gear.
So is there a solution to this problem? I mean, obviously, people, we had the kind of the spin-to-win Barbs in the old days.
Yeah.
I always think whenever this issue comes up now, and I think, well, that's how the game was forever. And then, of course, remember like 3 weeks ago when people were all furious that Mortix Bracer was not in the game, and like Barbs had been horribly gimped, and it wasn't fair.
Yeah.
Imagine if they had that too.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Oh,
It's absurd. Like people that were complaining about that, now you look back, you're like, okay, guys, like realistically speaking, now, I mean, they didn't handle it properly, but I mean, it was a good decision because look at where Barbs are already.
Yeah.
I honestly though don't think it necessarily needs fixed. I played a lot of Diablo 2, and it feels like late season or late ladder Diablo 2. Like you jumped into, a game and everyone was blowing everything up. There was no real cohesion. Everyone was trying to get experience, or there was like little leechers hiding in the corner, getting experience inside the cow level. So it's like, it's really not much different. You just jump in and everyone's super powerful and just do it like slightly different ways with slightly different builds and gear. And it just throws me right back to Diablo 2.
Mm.
I've thought for a long time, for maybe multiple seasons, I thought we needed many higher levels of Torment. And people often complain, you're mentioning Greater Rift 40 is like the new T6, and Greater Rift 40 would be what? That'd be like a T11 basically.
Right.
If it was, if it progressed at the same rate. And so you get into these T6 games, and of course people are just going at ridiculously high speeds, and because there's no danger at all, and you have to get up that much higher. Last week on the show, Muggs was like grudgingly admitting that he would be okay with like maybe a T7. And I'm like, how would that even matter? That's GR28.
It would still be not enough. And that's the point, is that like there's not a point in doing that because all you're going to do is stretch it thin. Like the game is working where it is right now because for people that want to push the content, or if T6 is too easy for you, that's what Greater Rifts are for. So farm those, they're better experience. Anyways, now that scaling they did really is starting to pay off for people. I mean, we saw it last season with how quickly people were grinding out Paragon 1000. This season's going to be even more intense with that. So I feel like there's still that niche for people that are wanting to play the higher rifts, and T6 is not unattainable for the casual player at the same time.
So what do you think about the whole higher levels of Torment, Master X? Do we need like T15 or something, or do you think that because T6 is like a bonus round for well-geared characters, is that not enough? When Nerdwards was carrying you and you were leeching up all the items off the ground while he ran far ahead, were you enjoying T6 and gearing up that way? And I mean, I feel like T6 is. I wish there was at least like T8 or T10, even if I'm not that well geared. It just feels ridiculous when I'm going through the whole level just one-shotting everything.
I would rather them readdress the difficulty of them than actually add in new levels. Like just re-stretch it so that T6 is harder and T5 is harder and T4 is a little harder.
What do you think there, Master P?
Yeah, that would probably be good. I'm
just gonna keep calling you that, by the way.
I'm dying every time, dude. That in the semester, I can't do it.
With the torment. Sorry, I can't think today. With the torments, it's fun, and I think if you go any higher with the torments, You'd want it to be in greater rift form anyways, because you get all your loot at the end. You don't have to be picking things up as you go on. Anything more difficult on T6 is now, it's just like I don't want to stop to pick things up. I just want to keep going, and so that works well with the greater rift format.
What do you think is going to happen once, if they keep promising they're going to remove Wave of Trials, which everyone hates apparently? If you could just, click a button and just go into GR 35 or 40 or whatever without having to waste a minute in a Realm of Trials every time, would that help with this issue? Because, I mean, it seems like people only play T6 now to get rift keys, and then if you could just do greater rifts all the time, a lot of people would just do greater rifts all the time. And if you could always do greater rift 40 just as as a default thing, then that you get a little more of a party cohesion and a better game, at least in softcore that way.
Yeah, exactly. The format for greater rifts is different from the normal game. You just pick up Nephilim Glory globes, and you just pick up healing globes, and you just go, 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 go. But it's also difficult enough that it keeps people together. If you take out Realm of Trials, people are going to just go from T6 speed clears to greater rift 35 speed clears.
Which will be the same problem all over again, I guess.
Pretty much.
Or maybe not. Especially, I mean, at least you would think in T6, like when you see a clang, you're going to run back to wherever it was. Whereas you never have any reason to slow down for anything in greater rifts. I mean, except for purple orbs, You're just not even going to go back for gold or anything.
I think that's why I like farming greater rifts so much, is because like speed and efficiency and all that stuff, like you don't really have a choice. There's nothing to pick up, so you don't have time to waste so much. I don't know. It makes it really fun, and you get the big payoff at the end. I almost wish I could have all my rifts with no gear and just pick it all up at the end.
Well, that's apparently where we're going in the future. So I think that it'd be nice to have a higher difficulty option that wasn't all just about speed farming. I mean, what if there are people, obviously not so much in softcore, but I mean in hardcore, there are people who have like higher defense than offense. And you can kind of grind it through T6, but even then you don't need a whole lot of offense to do T6 pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But if there was like T10 or T12, it would be interesting. I mean, this guy's like 50 million toughness who cannot do greater rifts fast enough. Although obviously that's becoming less the case. That was more the case in the spring semester, right, than in the fall semester.
Yeah, of course.
In the summer semester.
Yeah.
Because, now there's so much power creep and so much more damage with gear. But I mean, I knew guys in last semester who had who would play monks or something like that, or crusaders, and in hardcore who didn't have that super high damage. I mean, obviously there's always been kind of the pull monks who are just sort of party dudes.
Yeah.
Who are probably pissed now. I mean, they pull and the barbarian's already 7 screens ahead. It's like, hey, bye.
See ya.
Yeah, but I mean, there was sort of an incentive of it'd be fun to have a difficulty that you didn't have to clear in 15 minutes or it was a waste of your time, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But that doesn't really exist in the game with Torment 6 being so easy for most people.
I think the problem with that is more how they scale difficulty and experience. If you're going up into higher, greater rifts, it's actually less efficient unless you're one-shotting everything. Because the health of the monsters scales faster than your experience gain or your magic find gain for each difficulty going up. So if they readdress that, then going up into higher difficulties, doing a T10 or whatnot, that will be more rewarding than just speed farming T6. Otherwise,
but think about
be a waste of time.
The only thing about that, though, man, is that like they're about to remove keystones. So you will have your T6, your T7, your T8, your T9, T10, because you can just pick from a drop-down menu and go to whatever difficulty you want to. So I don't feel like it's an issue they need to address because it's about to be addressed kind of accidentally through the new system. They're going to, whatever the system ends up being, as long as it doesn't require us to do Realm of Trials anymore, it's going to slow or speed up the process to get to the difficulty you want to, which is exactly what we want anyway. So I don't feel like they need to address it because it'd be wasted development time.
Exactly.
If you didn't have to do T6 to get keystones, would you ever not just do greater rifts?
No, I personally wouldn't because I don't like picking up loot anymore. I just like killing things.
And I guess you need blue material. You would need chests for blue materials at some point, but other than that...
Yeah. Yeah, that's basically... I need white materials more than blue. But yes, I'm with that because that's.
Well, then you need armor racks. So
And I mean, I'm not actually expecting them to implement this, but I'd love an option to be able to just, even on regular rifts, get all your loot to drop at the end. That'd be fun. It'd also probably explode your video card, but it'd be sweet.
Yeah, it would.
like 10,000 blue crafts
Yeah,
pop out
especially.
at once, but that'd be weird. Like you're clicking chests and nothing comes out until later.
Yeah, I mean, this is true.
You should have like a little UI button with a chest counter.
Yeah.
You'd be like 17 chests, and it would keep adding up the number.
Yeah.
And in the level, you just get like this giant dominoes of all these chests popping on once on your screen.
It just gets to the point to where you're not even like, unless it's a legendary, you're not even looking at it, and you're looking for like blue names more than anything else. So it'd be nice. I don't know. I just ran like 40 or 50 greater rifts in a row, and now I'm running T6 rifts, and I'm like, I don't want to stop. I just want to keep killing. I don't want to stop and pick the stupid yellow crap.
But you got to get your rift keys.
Yeah, I know.
What about goblins though? Would she miss goblins?
Like I said, I just ran like 50 rifts and I didn't. So I mean, I don't need gold right now. I mean, it's awesome to get to like loot. Right now, like I'm trying to find gear.
Gelatinous spawn.
But I'm more just trying to L2P. So it's like really just learning the new build and trying to get better at it. So I don't waste my time picking stuff up. Who does that?
Like hardcore players, they're always like grubbing over things, saving all these little pieces. They're barely human to be honest.
But this is from you. You probably stopped picking up stuff long before I did.
Well, I pick up all the white and blue stuff. I don't pick up rares. Obviously.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean.
I mean, that's all point.
I still pick up white. And blue.
I've actually been a little better at this. I actually ran out of Death's Breath a couple of times last semester.
Oh, wow.
Because I would just I got so used to not picking up anything rare.
Yeah.
Like anything yellow, you just ignore. And eventually you realize, oh yeah, I actually need those Death's Breaths. Cause, only elites drop them and goblins.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes yellow chests, right? But I mean, it's so easy to ignore them. I remember back when they had crafting materials drop and they were kind of a light blue color.
Yes.
Yeah.
And our gyms are that same color now still, but I just always like, why don't they have Death's Breath drop in a goddamn light blue color so I could see them instead of thinking it's just some other garbage crossbow?
Yeah, and they still
something,
haven't done that actually. The struggle.
Yeah, they're still yellow. But I've gotten a little better about actually sort of pausing when I kill an elite and getting that. Because I literally did run. I actually could not craft for a while last season because I was completely out of yellow Death's Breath materials, which is just like ridiculous. Because I probably left 2,000 on the ground.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Speaking of crafting, we were on the whole crafting thing. Some months ago, somebody posted asking about a crafting interface, and Blizzard was like, "Yeah, we might do that sometime. Like we'll integrate it into your toolbar, kind of like where blood shards and gold go. So instead of having all these crafting materials, you would have that." I think it was actually like a year ago before we even had greater rifts. And now, I have an entire stash tab, which is just nothing but legendary gems and like legendary potions, which I keep saving for some reason, even though I don't need any more of them.
Yeah.
And like extra rift keys of all these numbers with their stupid Comic Sans font on them. Ugliest font ever. I cannot believe how bad that font is. It's like hand drawn. But and then that and like you just have all this garbage. All the materials. There's like 5 different kind of materials for. Thank God we don't have 4 difficulty levels of 5 materials anymore. We only have 2 difficulty levels of it. But there's just so much crap that just stacks up, and it's eating up stash space. And I'm totally out of stash space in seasons already after 2 weeks. And you probably are too. You only play wizards, but who knows? But were you hoping for crafting materials? And I mean, obviously, if you had every little icon on the bottom of your bar next to blood shards, it would be kind of crowded. But like, there could be a special, like a dedicated stash tab or something, or it just seems like so many games. They mentioned in the recent chat they were trying to do something with legendary gems.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Where they would have like a central hub that would show all your legendary gems at their values instead of having to have individual ones on all your characters. And God forbid you leave one in an amulet and change the amulets, and then you spend 5 minutes searching your entire stash trying to find that one amulet again. That's just the most annoying thing ever. So, did you guys should we have, how are you feeling about the interface? Do you need better crafting interface materials? Do you need to know all that crap? Do you want it centralized and streamlined, etc., like in other RPGs like WoW?
What do you think, Master?
I don't think I the way they were going seemed kind of meh at the best of times. I do believe that at the very least there needs to be like a stash dedicated to crafting materials, a stash dedicated to certain classes, because with my Crusader I've already filled up all my tabs with stuff, and I don't have any room to put anything for my monk. And so when the season rolls over, I'm just going to be junking everything because even though it's fantastic, I have no place to put it.
That's 3.5 months from now, dude. Like we're 2 weeks in. Yeah, I'm already full of. I mean, when the season rolls over, I'll have space though. It's like, yeah, we're 12% into the
Yeah, you
season
got some
right now.
time. Hopefully,
I
thankfully.
well, I just like there needs to be some work done with this stash base. I don't know the logistics that go into developing that kind of thing, but as far as crafting materials go, like I've run out of death's breath as well, um, and it would be nice if like it was more of a dedicated tab that this is where all your crafting materials go and it's shared between all your characters.
Of course, we have that. It's called the fifth tab in your stash, which is what I have mine anyway. But so, given that you only play one character, Nerdwards, does this affect you as much? Or it
It's
occurs to
getting
me that
there.
I mean, I'm wondering just in terms of the whole new the non realm of trials. Maybe as part of that they can get rid of rift keys, right? That would certainly save some
Yeah, I
space.
mean, Rift Keys is one. I mean, I've never wondered, or I've always wondered why Rift Keys couldn't just be something on your bar, like the way your blood shards are and stuff. But
Because you couldn't see the numbers big enough to
well,
appreciate
I
the
mean,
font.
there is
Then
something to say about Diablo and picking up items. I mean, like that's like kind of part of the.
you
Yeah, I
think
mean, it's kind of part of the game. From yeah,
something
exactly. So it's
understatement of the podcast goes to
there's
Nerdwords.
some sort of physical importance to physically picking up like keys like that, I think, but not necessarily saying that we couldn't do that we would struggle without it. But I think it'd be better if we didn't have it because it would clear up a little bit of space, even if it's a slot of space. I'm not having as much trouble as most people are with their inventory, but trying to juggle the Firebird
You
set.
only play one class,
Right,
dude.
but that one class has three really fun sets right now. So I have full Firebirds, full Delcers, full Taurashus sets in my stash, and then I have the sets I'm wearing too. So I've got backup pieces that are better. Have Vit instead of cooldown reduction, or Vit instead of attack speed, or whatever it happens to be. But I have the luxury of space to do that. If I was running multiple classes, I wouldn't. So. I mean, this is the age-old question. Everyone wants stash space so bad, but it's also just like I mean, I kind of agree with the developers though, where they say if you keep giving us more, or if they keep giving us more, we're going to just use that and then run out again. So it really becomes, when is the limit? Like, at what point do we cut it off? I feel like it's manageable now. It becomes a chore when it comes to the seasonal rollover, but I don't know. It doesn't bother me as bad, I guess.
But the main thing was the whole interface for crafting materials and stuff. Would you like to have it
I
all
wouldn't.
streamlined in some sort of other tab that wouldn't take up your whole just the physicality of having all these pieces of crap that you have to stack up in your stash all
Yeah,
the time?
I mean, I wouldn't mind it for sure, but part of a Diablo game, aside from RNG screwing you, is managing inventory space. It was in Diablo 1 and Diablo 2. So it's just always part of the game, and it doesn't affect me so much, but I wouldn't bitch if they took it away. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Of course, they put blood shards and gold on. You don't have to manage those
Right.
anymore. I remember Diablo 1. You had actually stacks of gold. In town, you have
Yeah.
to drop all your gold in town before you went to
Oh, yeah.
adventure, so you could buy potions.
Mhm.
And that was a game mechanism, but it was also a very
Yeah, it
annoying
was
one.
super.
I think Jay Wilson sent them that from when he was interning before he was actually working on the game full time. He's like, "Hey, I got you guys could do. How about you fill your entire inventory up with gold and then you just buy potions?" And they're like, Max was like, "Awesome. Someday you'll go far, young man. Someday you'll be ruining Overwatch." Wait, what? So I don't know how they would do that. I can't. People were making mock-ups months ago of showing like the bottom of your inventory and had all these little icons for all the stuff. But of course, you don't like need instant access to how many blue materials you have. I mean, you see that when you open your stash, or you see that when you're crafting something. It shows you,
Yep.
and usually it just shows you one dot 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 because you got over 1,000 of something,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
So it's not like you actually need to know that full time. It would just be nice to not have to always have that crap clogging up my stash. But what Blizzard has said in the past, you should recall when we had the blood shards, when it was back in 500, and people were like, "Why do we have to have this obnoxious thing where you're dribbling your blood shards around the screen after you kill a greater rift boss because you didn't realize you didn't have enough
Right.
space?" And Blizzard would always say, "Well, because otherwise the noobs would never know they had
Right.
it, and we need there to be some obvious thing." And so if you never had to click to pick up, I'm not even saying auto pickup on math. Obviously that's a common request
Mhm.
demand.
Right.
It's going to be hostage time with Wyatt until we get it one of these days, but. But it would be nice. But I can see. Okay, yes, you have to click this, and if you didn't have these stacks of junk in your inventory, then noobs wouldn't ever realize They were picking up these materials and then wondering what they could do with the materials someday, right? So,
Yeah.
but at the same time, then it's like, well, why don't you put a button in the options like for the elective menu?
Well, I mean, there's
Elective
also the
mode.
choice. I mean, they could do something really simple, like give you some sort of bag, almost like give you almost a Herodric Cachet type thing, or a Herodric cube from Diablo 2 that just is like takes up 4 spaces or 2 spaces or whatever, and gives you a few more, like a full on
And they'd
tab
be
of
like, well,
space.
noobs will never notice. Noobs will never open it up, and they won't know what's there. And it's like, oh,
I
Jesus
mean,
Christ.
I suppose that could be an argument for it, but I mean that's just another solution. They didn't want to give a whole stash tab. Something it'd be something you could find. You could only find one of per account or something, and they could put a limit on it like that. I mean, again, implementation. I'm not a developer, but it's an idea. I'm not that concerned with it because they stack so high now that it doesn't take up that much space. I still dedicate an entire stash tab to crafting materials, even with as many as stack up now. And then I basically have a tab for my wizard, a tab for my backup wizard gear, because I usually run 2 wizards in a season. And then I have my offset pieces that are not wizard specific items. And then I have a blank tab that I usually put for alts that I never use ever. I still save them. And when I find my offset pieces, I save them just in case. I've got like an Unhallowed Essence gloves right now in there, and that's it, actually.
Wow, you're almost there.
Yeah, I know, right?
All you gotta do is play with a friend who plays a demon hunter one day,
Yeah,
and you
but
just
see,
give him all your wizard stuff. He gives you all
Well,
his
see,
demon hunter
again,
stuff.
though, I don't like that. I know that's weird. I'm okay with getting power leveled, but when I hit 70, I actually want to kind of grind it out myself and like get the gear as I go and progress naturally. Because especially with classes that I never play, which is everything, I want to learn it. So doing that, you don't really learn. If your barbarian friend is carrying you through Greater of 38 and you're already Paragon 400, like you're not really learning a lot when you put on that Unhallowed Essence set. Without dying a ton. I'd rather know it by the time I get there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but of course you don't really know any of these sets until you have all 6 pieces.
This is true.
You're not doing the full thing. So
Very true.
But I mean just as simple as knowing the skills, because again, I play wizard and that's all I play.
So when are you gonna start doing your super fast barbarian that they're going super awesome?
I don't want
now?
a barbarian. I want an Unhallowed Essence demon hunter. That's the only
that can be arranged,
because that was my big thing with this season, was that I can have a frozen orb sorceress and a multi-shot demon hunter, even though I could before, just multi-shot with no sentries, which sounds fun. That just sounds like a lot of fun. God, I'm loving the wizard right now. Of course. I just can't stop. Can't stop, won't stop. I'm crazy.
The thing I was thinking when I posted that the barb is too powerful and it sucks in parties thing, I'm thinking, okay, when people are reading this, it's going to be like 25% are going to be like, yeah, a barb suck in parties, I agree. 25% are going to be like, barbs are awesome, why are you complaining about this? I love playing my barb, I don't want to think about the other people hate it. And 50% were like, I've got to make a goddamn Spin2Win Barbarian. This sounds like it's amazingly powerful.
I will.
And so you are not in the 50%.
No, but I will say the wizard is getting some love this season. You're seeing a lot more wizards. And I'm seeing a lot more in public games, at least. And I've actually honestly, I don't think I've had any of my friends, like my real life friends or most of my Battle.net friends, run a wizard first. And I actually had like 4 or 5 run a wizard first this season, which was pretty cool. But yeah, so I mean, it's nice to see, like, that's one thing you are seeing season to season, is kind of like different classes getting different love and flavors of the week. But for better or for worse, I enjoy the wizard getting, the more people playing the wizard, the more stuff is learned about the wizard, and it's good. I just I don't know. I really want that demon hunter.
I enjoyed a Whirlwind Barbarian back in D3V for a while. I actually played one quite a bit in Diablo 2 back in.
Oh yeah, it was super fun in Diablo 2. I love the playstyle.
And I have not, and I kind of want to do one in Season 3 now, but it's become such a thing. I'd feel like a total tool if I did. But I might do it anyway.
You're such a contrarian.
Have you done a Barbarian yet, Master P? And are you going to give in and Spin2Win?
I probably am. My brother has done a barb, and he just got his unhallowed, or not unhallowed, Wrath of the Waste, and he's just kicking ass. And I was like, I kind of want to do that too.
So when he enters the yellow portal and you don't see him again for 5 minutes until you meet up with the Guardian, you want to be spinning there with him?
Yeah, kind of.
And are you going to go in public games and contribute to the problem and be like the one who goes super fast and everyone else is like miles behind with some poor plotting witch doctor?
Exactly.
Okay, good. It's good to have a plan. So speaking of seasons, we were doing that briefly on and off here. Another issue that came up recently is people are complaining about the seasonal bonuses. And this has been an issue in the previous seasons. Not so much this one because all of the new set items came out, and the whole wizard got a whole new set, and Demon Hunter and Barbarian. I was kind of surprised they didn't make more of those seasonal, but of course they kind of gimped the UE set for non-seasonal because you don't get the new Dead Man's Legacy. And there are a few other cases where this item would be awesome with it. I kind of wish they'd made Mortix Bracer like just non-seasonal, and then made the set just seasonal, just so people could be so close and yet so far.
That would have been
That'd have been
great.
kind of fun to watch. Of course, it didn't happen, unfortunately. But so, what do you guys feel? Did you both do seasons this time? I know you did Nerdwards. Did you do seasons this time, Master P?
Yeah, I've been doing.
First day charging.
I've been doing season 3.
And so why are you guys seasonal? I mean, do you like the fresh start? Are you motivated by the gear? You didn't really have to play seasons to get all the new gear this time, Nerdwards. You could have just played your old Meteor Sork or whatever, or your Firebirds, and found the new stuff.
I mean, that's the fun of the game to me. Like, I enjoy. I've been playing the same class since release day in 2012. Like, since Vanilla Diablo 3, I've played pretty much nothing but the Wizard. Thousands of hours on this class, and it doesn't get old to me because Diablo doesn't get old to me. So I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of people that are not playing seasons this time, and it's because of the short length of the season, and that's okay. It's good to take that break or to not, be so hard with it, whatever you want to do, or maybe they're pushing even harder in non-seasons. I will always run seasons just because my childhood, high school, whatever, ladders were like a huge nostalgia thing for me, and a lot of fun, and getting together with a group of friends on the weekend, ordering some pizza, playing some Diablo all weekend, or hopping in Mumble and playing with people and talking and whatever. It's a social experience, it's a gaming experience, it's a lot of fun, and it feels almost like a launch day for a brand new game, and that's always super exciting. So I will always play seasons, even if they could like in Diablo 2, they could add no items whatsoever and just start over every couple months, and I would still do it. Like, you would play Diablo, you'd play it for a couple months, super hardcore, and then you stop playing. And then when the season rolled over in 6 months or a year, then you'd be like, oh, new season's coming, or new ladder's coming, let's jump in. And Diablo 3 is the same way for me. Like, I feel like I'm going to get the same kind of longevity out of it just by doing seasons. If they keep adding gear, though, it's going to get even more exciting. I keep thinking that I'm going to take a season and I'm going to like chill out and not play so hard. And then, 3 days in, I'm Paragon 400, and I'm like, okay, I don't understand my crazy.
If we had known that season 2 was going to be like 7 weeks long,
Mm-hmm.
and that season 3 PTR was going to be up like a week after season 2 started, that would have been the one to
yes,
skip.
Well, if I had known that that the season 2 was going to be so short, I would not have touched the PTR. I would have just played season 2 and waited for the PTR to come out because we would have had it super freaking quick. That's why I'm glad that Wyatt came out with the 4-month thing, because at least we kind of have a better idea and feel safer coming into this and knowing what we need to put in to get what we want out of it.
Yeah.
So why are you doing seasons, Master X? Is it because you have friends that do it? You said your brother plays. Are you looking for the new items? Would you be more into seasons if you got like a big EXP bonus the first week or something?
Personally, I do seasons just because it's like Nerdward said, it's like the game just came out again and everyone's playing seasons, and it's just a lot of fun. The main draw for me though is I just want to hit 70 so I can get all the transmogs or get whatever other cosmetics, because those are the only things that are not going to be part of live after the season. So that's what I focus on. I just get to 70 and then dick around otherwise.
Okay, I found that answer unsatisfying. At least there's someone who cares about the transmogs, though. So there's
Yeah,
that.
you gotta look pretty, man. You gotta look pretty.
I just
So
did
pretty.
for the first time since like launch. I actually dyed all my gear like 2 days ago.
Did you? I'm so proud of you.
I just for some reason I got that wondering what on how essence would look like if it was white. Cause it's that kind of it's that kind of blue black look to it. You see it. You see every Demon Hunter.
Did you
wearing
roll
it
a
now.
wizard yet?
Not in season 3, no.
Damn it. Tired.
Yeah.
I thought about it, but it's become a thing. I kind of am curious about the Delcerays because I wasn't really a fan of the Firebird style of
Yeah,
play.
I think you'd like Taos a lot.
But I liked them. I loved Glacial. I loved the old. I mean, I played tons of Wizard in Diablo 3. I probably played more Wizard than anything, but like maybe a Boazon. And just I loved the old Tri-Tree stuff when it was like everything had cooldowns, and you would cast like Hydra, Nova, Arcane Orb, Hydra, Arcane. You would have to alternate between like 3 different things because Hydra had a 3-second cooldown and stuff.
Yeah.
And it was just constantly alternating what you were doing, and that's kind of what you're doing with a wizard.
Yeah,
now.
well, depending on which one you play, for sure.
Well, yeah, I'm not interested in the Tau version. It seems too
It's
mashy.
really not. It's actually a lot more fluid than it seems. It's gotten a lot better. it's something I recommend because it feels exactly like what you were just saying. Like, did you play any wizard in vanilla?
Yeah, I played a bunch of Wizard right after
Okay.
launch. I played all the characters
Okay,
in 60 right after
literally,
launch.
you're running that wizard. Like, you're running Blizzard, you're running Hydra, you're running some sort of builder, usually either the shock pulse that shoots the piercing orb, like the one that everyone was using at the beginning of vanilla, or you're using, glacial spike or some sort of magic missile. But you're
I was always a big fan of Electrocute, but it always sucked
what
back
you
in the
do,
day.
I mean, okay, and then you're using teleport as well. So it's literally like what you'll do is you'll teleport into a group of mobs to stun them and give them an arcane stack, which gives you that 100 and whatever percent damage. And then you're gonna shoot them with magic missile, glacial spike to add a cold stack. You're gonna drop your Hydra for your fire stack, and then you're gonna bomb them with Blizzard. And now you're doing crazy amounts of damage, and your Hydra basically ramps up and just eats things alive. There's also builds where you use Meteor instead that builds up that damage. It's a lot of fun, and it feels like you're rotational, like kind of like what you were saying, where you have like certain things cast at certain times, and then your stacks fall off, and you got to recast. And if you stack in like Arcane Dynamo, which for those that don't know, builds up your damage. You have to cast like 5 primary skills, and then makes your next spender do like crazy damage, essentially. So you actually use your entire toolkit instead of just running around blizzarding things and letting them burn to death. It feels like you're casting. You feel like a casting class, and then you mix that with Delsayers, and you're throwing slow time bubbles everywhere too to get your procs. It just gets kind of insane and a lot of fun, and you have a lot of utility. So the thing I've always liked about the wizard class is that there is a very high skill cap for it. If you are a good player or want to be a good player, you can be very, very good as a wizard and kind of exceed what the normal player is doing.
I feel like you should be wearing black slacks and a white button-up shirt and a backpack and have a bike next to you and be at my front door right now. Do you have any pamphlets?
No, I do work retail.
About our dear Lord and Savior, the Wizard?
The Wizard is the master race.
Let me tell you about Delsarays. I have something. Have you met Delsaray? Have you surrendered your immortal soul to the Delsarays?
Have you accepted Delsarays into your heart?
Yes, exactly. Obviously, one of us has.
Yeah, I just wish it was stronger. I wish it competed with Tauros just a little more, man. But it's still a lot of fun to play. I was going to roll a second wizard. I haven't yet, but I'm going to roll one just so I can throw my Delsayers back on him and run. I'm going to run a guy wizard, too, so I can see how ridiculous Delsayers looks on him. I still haven't looked that up.
You're supposed to be sending us bikini photos of your male wizard because they had that. It was like that. It was a total bikini photo, the first version of Delsarays, and then you said they made it more modest.
Yeah, well, I mean, they just added like a.
They made like a one-kini instead of
they
a
added
bikini.
a belly cover. They essentially put
they made it a one-kini.
Yeah, they put like a pot over her belly and called it a day. But the dude wizard, I wish.
Like my first wife.
Wish that we have to know it's not because just design and the way they design. But I wish the male wizard looked as ridiculous because it would be really funny. I might actually play a male wizard if he looked that stupid.
Yeah, I'm playing a male demon hunter now because my first one died in that stupid way, and I said as punishment, I'm going to play a male.
So wait,
male
is it
demon
still
hunter.
Mortina or is it a new name?
They're called like S3 UEDH now or something. Names. I've given up on that because otherwise I get them all confused after a season ends. I can't tell which one is which.
Yeah.
Or which one I made it. When you import them all back in together, the season thing destroyed my naming convention.
Struggle.
But the funny thing, I was saying that in clan chat, and everyone's like, "You can't make a male demon hunter." Like basically saying like you talking about male wizards.
They don't exist. They're not real.
And I'm saying, no, I'm doing this to punish myself for dying in a stupid way. And someone's like, no, you're punishing us when you make a male demon hunter.
Yes.
Which I thought was a pretty good point. I'm like, yeah, actually, you're pretty much correct there. I guess I am. So I just play alone, so no one has to share my shame.
Yeah.
I did the male demon hunter.
Okay, so last thing we have here, are we beating wizards to death yet? Still?
No.
I mean, that's my life.
So the Thorns thing was the last thing we had in our notes, and that came up in topic, and someone was like, there should be a Thorns build. Why is Thorns of the Invoker exists only to piss you off when gambling, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And then Wyatt was talking about that in the podcast like a couple weeks ago, and he's like, well, what's the fantasy of Thorns? And some people like that. I played some Necromancer in D2, but I was never really into the Thorns, the Iron Maiden kind of thing. I was into more of the active form of it, back when he was crappy as an active caster.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He had Iron Maiden, he had an Iron Golem that could do stuff. He had, people would make the revives and get lots of those, and you could also do it with a paladin who had, the reflect damage.
I'm with you though.
And apparently, I'd totally forgotten that the druid also had a reflex one. That was like useless at launch, but like 10 patches later, it became sort of viable.
Yeah, but Bone Spear.
So did either of you guys ever do? yeah. I never played the Druid at all for that version of it. But did you guys ever do any Thorn stuff or flex damage in D2? And have you ever missed that in D3? And how would it even work in a game where you kill the entire screen in one click?
I
Uh,
don't think it would at all.
yeah,
There'd
no.
be like a button. There'd be like reflects Thorn damage, 100
It just
yard
doesn't
radius. Like,
sound
hey, I
fun to me.
win.
Now, there was the idea that somebody or that they had talked about on that stream where they had talked about the idea of possibly like maybe having it not to where it's just Thorns damage, but to where you're actually like mobs are crashing into you and dying, so you're pulling mobs in some way, and
Mhm.
they just kind of explode off of you, so that you're actively casting something that's yanking these mobs to you, and then your armor's doing the damage with the force of impact. I think that would be pretty neat.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's not something I would enjoy as a playstyle. I don't like passive damage. I mean, Firebirds was fun because of how fast paced it could be, and something like that could also be in that vein. But I'm having way too much fun actively casting things to ever want to go back to that.
Mm.
This is where you jump in, Masterpiece,
Nah.
and explain Nerdwards as well. I thought it was a good place
All
to
right.
start.
So, White Chain was asking what the fantasy of the Thorn set was, and I actually came up with a fantasy that like none of the other guys really talked about really, and it was the idea that I was punishing the enemy for being aggressive, and I was pissing them off so I could then humiliate them. It's like some master kung fu master, and someone goes after him, he just slaps him on the face repeatedly, and they can't do anything about it. That would be fun. And so if you're like if you're taunting everyone around you in a large radius and you're making them just go berserk on you, that could be fun. And even though it would be mainly for T6, it would be really group viable of a set. So I think that would be a good way to go with it.
Yeah, I think the big message really with all of it is that it's kind of more of a tanky mindset. You want to stack defense and stack thorns and have that do your damage rather than worrying about offense so much. But in this game, the way it is now, offense is so important that even support classes. I mean, you work better in a group, and I mean so that
Mm-hmm.
definitely sounds like something that would work for a group. It'd be like a true support class almost. But I still don't think that's going to get the fantasy for the people that are really wanting thorns. But I just don't understand the fantasy. I feel like because I don't understand the appeal. I think it's more nostalgia purposes. But I mean, unless I'm just ridiculous, it wasn't that good in Diablo 2. Even the most successful was not doing very well compared to the rest of the classes or builds. So it's like I feel like there's always rose tinted goggles with regards to Diablo 2, especially with the community. Am I remembering wrong, Flux? Am I a complete noob? Can you refresh me? But I don't remember Thorns being that
There
great.
was a time early in Diablo 3 Classic. Diablo 2 Classic, before Lord of
So when Diablo
Destruction,
2 didn't matter.
when the most powerful build for a while was
Well, yeah,
reflex
and in the
damage.
same breath,
That's like July of
right?
2000.
And in
we're
the
talking
same
about.
breath, during the same build before LOD, that was when Ice Blink was the best in slot weapon for barbarians because it insta froze everything on the screen because it froze targets and everything on your screen was a target when you're whirlwinding. So I mean, like, it was working, but it was still in a kind of a broken state of the game. I don't know. I don't have that much nostalgia for Thorns, but I also played Sorceress in Diablo 2. Go figure. So
Yeah.
I didn't play a lot of Thorns builds.
The thought I had with Thorns maybe working is it might be something that would work at really high greater rifts, kind of like the Gungdo's gear with the monk.
Yeah.
Where that's not really good if you're super powerful because you don't get the crowding. But if you get, once you get really high greater rifts and monsters all pack around you, like you watch these guys doing like greater rift 50 or 60 in videos, and there's just, they're in one place for like a minute and a half.
Yeah.
Just, every monster's got 40 billion hit points, and if you had something there that could really be effective with reflecting damage, maybe that's when it would be powerful. It would kind of scale up with the higher damage of the monsters,
Mm-hmm.
and the more monsters you had, and you'd be setting up like multiple buffs and like areas of effect or something. I don't think they're going to design a build that only really works well at greater than
Well,
50. I mean,
and plus
obviously
the
not.
problem you're
But
going to run into there is that the keystone part of everything is that they have to do damage to you for it to do damage, and at that difficulty, I don't care
Hmm.
what you are, you're not going to last very long if you're just taking hits. So you don't.
No.
It's kind of like the idea of like I don't know of Thorns has always been a non-factor for me because it requires you to be worse at your class to be successful at it. Like you have to take damage when you don't want to. You know, the point is to not take damage. So why would you want to
Yeah.
incentivize taking damage, which negates one of the whole mechanics of the game? All for nostalgia purposes.
well, I mean, they built it for Crusaders. You know, that was obviously Thorns of Invoker was meant to be the Crusader
Right.
set, and he's the one with the
Right.
shield.
Hmm.
Which
So the theory was like you're this big tank, and you have this shield, and stuff's hitting you and taking damage while it hits
which
you, and
is
you're also hitting them
totally
back.
accurate, but that idea, that fantasy, I still feel like it doesn't make any sense for me. If you're going to build a Thorns class, yes, traditionally you would want a shield, you'd want to be a paladin type thing because that's the way it was in Diablo 2 and in other games. But realistically speaking, if you're actually trying to like rationalize the idea of taking damage and dealing damage because of it, wouldn't it be more of a casting class? Wouldn't it be something like I have an arcane shield around me that whenever I take damage, it is absorbed into my shield and pushed back on the enemy? Or, you know, like the
Well, or you have pets like the Necromancer.
exactly. So I mean,
Yeah.
like there are. I feel like it would make more sense for a class like the Witch Doctor or for the Wizard than it would for something like the Crusader, unless you know they're using that whole pull in and crashing against the armor fantasy, which either way would be cool. So I mean, there's always fantasies you could fulfill in the game, and it would be cool to
Hmm.
see something else work. It's always cool to see new builds. I don't see. I don't care enough though. I guess to really invest in it if it did come available.
Yeah.
I guess the thought could also be that it's not the only thing you have. You know, that you're kind of a hybrid build.
This
I
is
realize
true.
that doing two things at once in Diablo 3 never exists.
Yeah.
But like that would be the you would have some reflex damage that would work really well against melee brawlers,
Yeah.
and you'd also have some sort of like impale skill or something where it wasn't like a super AOE, but it was good to pick off casters or stuff that's safe in
Right.
the
Well, and
distance.
that's that's something. Yeah, something else you just reminded me of. That would be the other problem too. Is that no matter how good it was, you would never take down a Rift Guardian ever.
No. No, you wouldn't.
Remember the really early days of Diablo 3 when they were showing the really cool thing with the wizard, and you could cast a slow time and then cast a wave of
They push
force,
it back.
and you could shoot projectiles back at
Yeah,
enemies.
I do.
And something like that would be you kind of your full time ability if you had the this
Well, I
reflex
mean,
damage. You'd be shooting back all the projectiles at the
there was a
enemies.
build that worked out for a while back when CM wizards were a thing. You could run crystal shards with your diamond skin, which basically made it to where when your diamond skin fell off, it exploded in like crystal shards around you. That was a cool fantasy. That was a cool idea. Now, mind you, that's not really viable anymore because diamond skin is pretty much useless. I mean, it's finding some use with the Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac now, but it's still, on the grand scheme of things, you'd rather just run an armor than that. But I don't know. I think the idea would be cool. I mean, you remember the classic Diablo 2 Sorceress? Energy armor for that was much different. You know, depending on how your gear was set up, you would have to completely deplete your mana before you took any damage to your health. Same with Diablo 1. So the idea of like kind of combining Thorns with a skill set like that made you completely drain a different resource rather than your health would also be pretty interesting. Like, what if a Crusader took damage out of his wrath instead of his health, and thus did damage based on that in Thorns back at the enemies? Then you would solve the problem of not dying, and you'd have to actively cast something to pull the enemies in and do that damage. Like, I don't know. I think there are ways they can do it. It's just a matter of how much time do they really want to spend on a freaking Thorn set.
Yeah. It's
Well, if they play wizards, they don't want to spend any time on it apparently.
Yeah.
So I have one last thought. Go ahead, Master P. We got to wrap this up. I have one last thought on Thorns though. After you.
well, I was just gonna say it's not really worth the development time if they can just disable it because it's worthless right now. And even if they make it good later down the line, you're not going to start saving pieces of the Invoker now for when it's good later down the line. So if they can disable it and they just work on it sort of in their part-time as a hobby, that would probably be okay, but it's just not worth it. Even in the best of fantasies, it's just not worth the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that would be a very cool idea. It's just a matter of, is that really the third set they want for Crusader? Is that really what they want the fantasy for? You have the Akon set, you have the new Roland set. Is that the third and final, or at least final for now, fantasy they want to complete for the Crusader? Because to me, I don't feel like there's that much of an outcry for it to where it warrants that.
Nope.
This is why we need mods. Some player-made mod would totally attack this and make a whole different version of the game where it was like slow-paced and grindy,
Now,
and Thorns were an
I
awesome
do
thing.
think it's cool. I do I've always been the guy that played the crappy thing, like to make them like when I played Final Fantasy VII.
You mean Wizards?
Well, yeah, Wizards. No, Wizards are the master race. We've been over this, but no,
No, Master Race is the other guy in this podcast.
Okay, my bad. I thought it was Master P. I'm sorry, I got confused. But either way, I like the idea of kind of taking a suboptimal thing and making it really good just through skill and building it and stuff. So I like the idea of it. I just don't know the worth of it, I guess. And I probably would know it more if I played a Crusader. And I had this problem, but I don't find Invokers ever, so the frustration doesn't get me. I feel bad for the guys though.
Lucky you. Yeah. So the funny flashback thing was back in Diablo II when Iron Golem was the reflex damage type, and you created that from items eventually. Initially, you just created them, and eventually made it scale up.
That was cool.
So for a while, there was a thing in Diablo II where you could dupe items and make them appear to be existing, but not. So it wasn't safe to trade stuff with the trade window. What you had to do is actually drop items on the ground to make sure it was a real item, and then you could trade it. And people who didn't know that necromancers made iron golems would drop items on the ground, and they would just turn the item into an iron golem and leave the game, which was like the most evil thing I've ever heard of.
it's super messed up. But totally...
They'd be like, you found, what were they, ethereal items, were like the super high damage ones that couldn't be repaired. Yeah. And I get an email like every couple of months at the website, back when people used to send emails. And they'd be like, I had an item in a game, and there was a necromancer, and the item vanished. What happened? Was I hacked? I'm like, yes, you were hacked.
No, you wanted one that was ethereal, and you wanted one that had Thorns damage on it, because then they were doing even more Thorns damage.
Yeah. And ideally, someone else would drop it, thinking you wanted to trade for it, and then you would just turn it into your iron golem and leave the game. Say bye-bye.
Thanks.
Say bye-bye. Okay, that was a horrible, cruel trick, and they would never allow that in Diablo 3.
Well, yeah, you'd have to be able to trade.
So, any final thoughts, guys? You're dying to get started on your barbarian. I know Nerdwards. I don't want to hold you up tonight. You've got 3 pieces of Wrath of the Waste, and you're ready to start.
I do have 1.
Wow.
Well, you're almost there. Yeah. So, any final thoughts, guys? Any final thought for you, Master P?
No.
Rhyming or otherwise?
Otherwise, I don't have any final thoughts. We covered everything this week.
Yeah, I would say I'm loving Season 3. It's a lot of fun. Again, I roll every season, and I still have not gotten tired of it, not even close. Right now, it's probably the best the Wizard has ever felt. If you ever want to try it out, you should. It is the best class in the game, and that's not an opinion. That's complete fact, so don't question it.
And you have
I have pamphlets, yes.
And you have literature to share.
You can come over to my place. We'll talk about it. Have some tea.
You should write an article for the site, and just like 6 paragraphs about how Wizards like the most awesome. Basically, I could just transcribe what you said earlier.
That's pretty much my articles typically anyway. So.
I could put a vote at the bottom. Yes, no, he's crazy.
I am crazy. That doesn't mean I'm wrong. Doesn't mean I'm wrong, man.
You sound like a politician.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, I have no final thoughts except that I'm ready for dinner. So, you've been listening to the Diablo 3 podcast. We are online at DiabloWingGamers.com, and we didn't get into the whole Easter egg secret cow thing, but I found a secret cow, and you know what secret cows say?
Moo.